Hi everyone, welcome back to Through Alchemy. So today's reading is all about inner child healing. We're gonna get a few soothing messages for your inner child. This reading is in collaboration with Celtic Fairy Tarot. She's very good with emotional healing. So do check her out for the other part of this reading, which will be messages from your higher self. So to begin with our reading, we have 3 piles like always from the left to right. The first pile is Moss Agate. The second pile is Sunstone. And the third pile is Tree Agate. Pause if you need a little bit longer. Pick the one which calls your name the most. And I'm going to begin with pile number 1. Hello pile number 1, if you chose the Moss Agate, this is going to be your reading. So the channel message that we have is, I want to heal from my rejection wounds. Right. Quite a powerful statement that we have over here. So before I speak about this, I do want to flip out a few tarot cards. Okay, the Spirit wants me to use an oracle deck for you. Angel guides, spirits, please help me connect with pile number 1's energy. So I'm getting the scenario of a child who's in the market, and he really likes this toy. I'm looking at a boy, and he's literally praying to God, and he's almost saying that why don't my parents love me? And I feel like it's because the parents are strict. Parents look like they're wealthy, but they're not very giving perhaps to the child, or this child really wants to buy a toy. I see an action man figurine or something like that, and he's kind of feeling like his parents don't understand his needs as much as he would like them to. And this is a really small boy. I'm getting the age number 5. So I think we're gonna take a card to see what that exactly means over here, because I'm getting that it's not about them buying him things, but it's about them understanding that he kind of flourishes in his own imagination with collectibles, and this child doesn't really get along with his friends at this age. So he feels like the way he comforts himself is by making new friends in action figurines. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, we're gonna take this one. We have obstacle. Bottom of the deck, I'm seeing upheaval and air. So it's a lot about not being able to communicate also is what I feel. Now we're gonna clarify. Cards. Okay, I'm gonna be using this self-made love messages oracle, but since they also are inclusive of certain inner child woundings, I am going to read it as I feel guided to. And even though this is inner child, I feel like inner child insecurities really do come out in love dynamics, right? So this, I kind of did begin off this reading keeping love in mind over here. There's something really specific about self-expression that I pick up over here. Okay, Bottom of the deck, I regret pushing you away. I don't intend to self-sabotage. It feels safer in silence. All right. So the first card that we have is my ego didn't let me understand the feelings I had developed for you. So now this really tells me that your inner child kind of wants to let you know is that um, the reason why as a fully functional adult you're not able to move ahead with specifically love opportunities, because I think that this is very prominent in your reading, because when you have a rejection wound, it's very much possible that you push away people before they can get close to you. And I'm getting the example of this reel that I saw the other day where this person said that you don't remember where your trauma comes from. And that person explained, the other person explained that trauma is not something that always comes from very big incidents. Certain times people develop trauma because their needs haven't been met. It's not because of what they've been through, it's because of what they didn't get in their childhood, or just because of what they didn't get even in their adulthood. So I'm seeing that over here that the way that Spirit gave me the example of a child not getting a toy is mainly because he flourishes in his own imaginative world, and he's not weird, he's not abnormal just because he doesn't have a lot of friends or he doesn't know how to make a lot of friends. It's just that that child needs more time to become socially aware, right? That child is probably requiring more mental stimulation by himself to kind of express his creativity through action figurines or whatever he likes to do, right? It's his comfort zone where he feels like he's safe and he kind of has things under control. So now you could be someone with the ego card. My feelings didn't let me understand, my ego didn't let me understand the feelings I had developed for you. You practice control because you get scared of assuming the worst possible scenario that could come in the future. And I think that that is one reason why you give up on maybe friendships or love relationships. I get a very focused energy on love relationships because I think that you get scared that you're going to lose your control in those areas. And I feel like the way that you access your control is by staying in your comfort zone. Whereas I want to let you know that's completely okay. But now and then you should try to get out of your comfort zone, because I feel like the more that you have understood that it's okay to be in my comfort zone and to allow myself to feel however I want to feel, because in my comfort zone is the only area where I know that I'm not going to act out per se, right? So when we have I regret pushing you away, I don't intend to self-sabotage, it feels safer in silence. I feel like you push away people when you want to remain in your comfort zone. And this is not because you don't find other people interesting or you don't want to allow them in your life. It's because the way that you keep people at bay makes you feel like you're at control and your needs won't be let down. Now, this comes from a place where your parents didn't meet your needs, especially your emotional needs. And this is not something where your parents are bad people or, they didn't want to support you. It's just that they didn't understand exactly how to nurture a child and how to be more sensitive. I'd rather say, okay, you would come from a kind of a very I'm getting a very poised environment or somewhere where emotions weren't regarded as much as they should have, especially in your childhood. And I feel like a lot of time that you spent was in isolation by yourself. And I feel like you have put in a lot of work in developing that area of your life, keeping yourself content. But it's almost like I'm hearing bane and a boon. Like you enjoy your solitude, but also to the detriment of creating new friendships and relationships in your life. So if somebody is trying to get close to you, it's almost like your fears start coming up where it feels suffocating to you, right? Because you haven't had that amount of, let's just say, social interaction or that much vulnerability where you include somebody in your bubble, right? The place that you feel comfortable in. And the moment somebody starts coming in closer to nearly to your bubble, I don't think that they come inside your inner circle in a way, the place where it's just you. But when they start coming closer, it's like you push them away. You start feeling like they're overstepping, and even though they're not overstepping, they're just emotionally getting closer to getting to know who you really are inside. I feel like you push them away, or you just ghost them, or you just run away from the situations. You try to do anything that is a defense mechanism in getting hurt by them, because that amount of intimacy, now them coming close to you near your bubble, is an intimacy act, right? From them, they're coming close to getting to know who you really are. And that is the mentality which acts like a defense mechanism, because you feel like the moment they'll see who I am and what I do and how I lead my life internally, they're gonna abandon me. So before they can abandon me, I should abandon them, right? And you can see how I spoke about a comfort zone and a bubble. There's this sort of rock which is like, um, it's like you develop a sort of stone wall. Now I feel like pile number one, it's possible that you stonewall people. Now stonewalling is when somebody wants to talk to you and you're just giving them that silent treatment. You're not giving them a reaction because you're scared. Okay, I understand that you're scared. You feel like, I don't want to spend my energy on this person because I know that it's feeling unsafe. I don't like it, so I'm going to shut down my emotions. And that's the way that you have understood how to cope up with your own emotions. Okay, so now we have resistance. So I feel like what your inner child kind of wants to let you know is that this resistance that you have against yourself, it's not against other people. It's something that you practice and sustain within yourself. You try to keep yourself in a bubble. And it's not necessary that you're someone who shows up like this in life. You might be someone that's an opportunist. You have a career, you got really nice friends, but there is a barrier in between, which limits other people from coming towards you. You know how you've seen in movies or certain areas where for protection they create puddles as boundaries around the territorial, and they fill it up with, I don't know, like a lot of water, so that you have to kind of swim through it and come to the next territory unless and until you get through the right way and you climb the bridge or something like that. So it's almost like that image that I'm getting. It's about creating a fortified sense around yourself where nobody can come inside and see who you really are. And I feel like this is the resistance that you put through people. It's like you put them through silent treatment, you put them through stonewalling, and this is your way of protecting yourself and kind of like testing them. You kind of feel like, if they get through this, then I will think about letting them in my life. And it's possible that people that respect themselves in a way, they don't accept this behavior, right? They're going to walk away. So when they face this amount of resistance or self-sabotage from you, they tend to walk away because it's not fair to them, right? So even though I understand your side of the perspective, that your side of perspective, like you perform these things because you want to see if that person wants to stick around you, but in a way you kind of push away people that intend to stick around you, but then they change their mind because they feel like you're not going to let them in, right? It's not that they don't want to try, but it's that you place too many obstacles for them to finally accept defeat, that you don't want them around, right? It's not that they can't understand what you're feeling inside when you don't express it, when you turn off your emotions, right? You have to tell people. And the most healing method that I have used in different scenarios, which work when I emotionally shut down, when I can't process things, personally speaking, is that when I come around my closest friends, I tell them why I did what I did, so that they understand what I'm doing. So that is the way I personally cope up with things, so that I can create small layers of intimacy with them. It's not in a way to test them. It's in a way where I own up my behavior, but I let them know that I'm not brushing my behavior under the carpet. I am letting them know that, hey, I did this because, I felt some kind of way, and I realized I did this because of this. So now it's just a way where I feel accepted, right? It's not in a way where I feel like my friends are going to stop talking to me, right? It's in a way where I feel like, yes, I am letting you see me, and I feel amazing about that, because I feel like you accept me for who I am. And it's that way where you create more intimacy with the people when you let them see your flaws. And if they're your true people, they will understand rather than try to bicker about it, right? So that is the thing. It's not about testing people, it's about moment of reality when you face yourself and then you face other people that you might or might not have hurt. So this is a major sort of exercise that spirit is telling me that would really help you, is that start expressing what you feel and how you feel and why you behave the way you do, so that they can also help you. Because this trait of pushing away people is somewhere where you think that isolation is best for you. And what I realized to my personal experience is that isolation will not help me heal. So I have to create emotional support systems around me who know how to sort of like help me grow out of that person, right? And that is the reason why I perform this exercise, so that they can see me, and in return I can also see them, because they also have certain things that they do, right? So this is about creating that emotional support. You will heal in cohesiveness, you will not heal in isolation. Pile number one. Okay. And lastly, I've had people around me who made me feel like I'm so hard to love. Now, this could be that sort of instance that Spirit gave us in the beginning, where they spoke about this boy who really wanted a toy, and the parents made it sound like it's a ridiculous need or a demand, or it's just something that shouldn't be noticed. Now, maybe in your past or in your childhood, I feel like maybe as a teenager, when you try to get along with people romantically, now girlfriends or boyfriends, it's almost like people that you were with were kind of oblivious to how sensitive you are. And I think that there was a part of you that didn't want to show them how sensitive you are. So even though as a rookie you didn't understand how to cater yourself, it's almost like the way that they behaved towards you made you feel like the world is insensitive. So now when you meet people that are probably very sensitive, they are tapped in with their emotions, they are open for healthy communication and healthy loving relationships, it makes you feel a little bit like word vomit. You kind of repel them, right? So I feel like this is that energy. When you find somebody who wants to embrace you, you kind of push them away, because you feel like either it's fake or it's just not gonna last long enough. And you have to go through that phase of trial and error. Pile number one, I hope I was able to articulate this in the most politest manner, so that you don't feel threatened that anybody is judging you for the behavior that you have over here. It's for you to kind of heal through this and understand how you're self-sabotaging in getting yourself the support and emotional fulfillment that you need, right? Keeping yourself in isolation and this bubble will not help you heal and come out of it, right? It's almost like you fear taking help from other people because you don't want to seem like you're weak, right? And this is also a trait of hyper independence, where I think that in your childhood, your parents could have been quite preoccupied with their own things, and interdependence hyper independence, excuse me, is a trait where sometimes you feel like your expectations have been let down so many times and you're unable to trust anybody to count upon them, right? So this is for you to enable people that look trustworthy. You don't have to jump right in and just open your heart. You can use your discernment, you can take as much as time you need, but you need to keep moving forward instead of staying in that small little bubble for yourself, right? Allow yourself to make new friends. Okay, allow yourself to make new friends that support the new you that is emerging. All right, so before we conclude, we're gonna take a few advice cards for you. Pile number one. Okay, we have Three of Pentacles, Seven of Cups in reverse, and Eight of Cups. Bottom of the deck, we have the Page of Wands and Six of Pentacles. I feel like when it comes to other platonic relationships, you're very good at collaborating. But when it comes to romantic relationships, because romantic relationships, you kind of have to agree they are on a different tangent. They're very different from friendships. And it's often like our friends don't see exactly that side of, maybe let's say, trauma that our romantic partners see, because they bring us back to this place or feeling or sensory emotion that we feel with the relationship we shared with our parents and subsequently with ourselves, right? So romantic partners, I have to agree, they pinch a different side of you, right? And I feel like you kind of retaliate in a way where you push away people. And as much as we have discovered that part of your personality, I feel like it's spirit saying that it's time to walk away from fantasizing, having this sort of dreamlike energy that I will one day have that relationship. I saw this reel the other day, where this woman was speaking about a lot of cultural differences and everything. But one thing that spirit is reminding me of right now is that she said that how sort of like people talk about people in perhaps like 20s or their 30s, and one of the things that relatives really ask is like, when are you getting married? Do you have that special person in your life? And this girl, when she was talking about a lot of elaborative things, she inserted this example where she said that I met a girl who was in a relationship for 10 years, and now she's 38 years old, and she is now getting married. And I went to her like, weren't you with that person for 10 years? So what kind of took you so long? In a more polite manner, she asked that. I'm paraphrasing. And she goes like, I knew that I had a lot of healing to do, and before we step into such a big commitment, I wanted the both of us to heal and get along together before we make this big decision together and make it kind of legally binding. And the thing kind of stuck in my head because it's a lot about that girl who understood that this is the person that she wants, but it's also that she didn't give up on love because she knew that both people involved had work to do. So it's almost like maybe she just knew that they need this time to prepare themselves for something that can last a long time, right? So it's about you understanding that you and the person that you will choose both will have work to do upon yourself, but that doesn't mean that you can't be with that person, right? Or you can't go out there and find somebody that actually kind of helps you heal through your pain, right? Because I feel like the moment you find somebody that is kind of emotionally enlightened or capable of that maturity, it's like you push them away because you're scared or you feel intimidated that you're smaller than them. And that's for you to understand that you're not smaller than them. Those people, or that person also has their issues that they will have to show to you. So this is for you to come across to this conclusion that, are you willing to put in that work? Are you willing to let somebody see especially the bad parts of you so that you can develop that relationship for yourself? All right. So, pile number one, this was your reading. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated, and I'm going to see you guys in another one. Bye. Hello, pile number two. If you chose the Sunstone, this is going to be a reading. So, the message that we have is, I was blinded by my own pain. I see you for who you are. So I feel like you could have been through physical or emotional abuse by the hands of your caretaker or somebody that was really close to you. Now, this could have been a very tumultuous relationship as well. Can definitely be infidelity or cheating or something that was quite extreme for you, something that developed a lot of distrust in the ability of letting somebody else in your life. And I feel like at this point, pile number 2, you're healing from a lot of the ways that your emotional or romantic relationships progressed in the past. Now, as a teenage, or maybe in your early teenage years or adulthood, you could have chosen partners that were avoidant attachment style. And I feel like this energy could still prevail in your frequency, where you could be anxious or you could be a fearful avoidant yourself. Excuse me. I see that over here, that there's this energy of you not just pushing away people, but kind of being very suspicious of their intentions because of your past um, experiences. And I completely understand and sympathize with that. But I feel like even when somebody is not intentionally deceptive, I think that you try to find flaws within them because of the pain that you have been through. So it's created a betrayal wound within you where you kind of suspect the worst out of people. And it's often blinded by your insecurities. Sometimes we don't realize how much we're projecting our insecurities and how much our mind is getting sort of like polluted with our pain. And in the end, or after a few days or months, we realize that that person was not exactly out to get me, but we were just seeing them through our pain. Okay, so I'm gonna flip a few cards for you. Angel guys, spirits, please help me connect with pile number 2's energy. They're giving me the example of this girl who was really close to a doll or a Barbie figure in her childhood, and somebody took that away and broke it off. Now that looks like her elder brother. Doesn't have to be yours, but this is just the example. Somebody who was kind of like a bully, who exercised their power onto you. This could also be a parental figure. This could be somebody that you were romantically involved with. Now I see that it really hurt you, and that person purposely did that so that you would come chasing to them, because you were happy in your own little bubble, and this person didn't like that. This person had their own insecurities that provoked them to sort of display this power onto you. So we'll see how that binds. We have the Two of Pentacles. We have the Death in reverse. The Nine of Wands and the Eight of Wands. I'm going to take the Eight of Wands. Bottom of the deck, we have the Page of Wands and the Nine of Wands yet again. We have Scorpio over here. Gifts, balance. All right, bottom of the deck we have Epiphany and Dreams. So the way I see that pile number 2, this might be a little bit painful to absorb, is that you are kind of somebody who is attached to the pain. You relate yourself with the person that you have become so prolonged for these prolonged years in your life. And this is not at all to make you feel like I'm criticizing you. This is just to make you understand that this is a judgment-free zone, and this is just two people talking about the ways that maybe pile number 2 self-sabotages a little bit, okay? So with the Two of Pentacles and the Gift card over here, I feel like even when your discernment tells you what it is about the other person that is maybe right or wrong, it's like you don't trust your ability of discernment. Now this could be two scenarios. First of all, when somebody is doing you wrong, it's like your attachment to them. If somebody is running away from you, if love is running away from you, it's like you try more to go out there and show yourself, and you maybe post on social media, or you do things, or you show up at those places because there's this internal validation that is desired to be verified by that person, that hey, look at me, I am worthy of your love and attention. This could also be from a place where you were neglected in your childhood, and that is one reason why you feel safe in an avoidant attachment style relationship, where it's like you're chasing the other person. Because it's almost like, I saw this video, I don't remember where it was from, but it was a lot about why do you feel safe with an avoidant attachment style. And this was this imagery, I'll try to articulate as best as I can. It was almost this imagery where this girl, she was walking around with this sort of like a box with a door inside, and the person was inside, sort of like a picture depiction of this person being avoidant attachment style, who likes to keep physical distance in between, and the anxious attachment style keeps chasing it. And the question was, why are you okay with somebody being so distant with you? And it's because you're also somebody who internally is fearful of that intimacy. So whereas we understand that you crave that, and so probably does that avoidant attachment style, it's almost like you also like that distance. It's okay for you to blame the other person for creating that distance, but you don't see how you're also enabling that distance for yourself. It's not about what the person is doing, it's about why does it feel comforting to you to have that distance. An avoidant attachment style is the same as an anxious attachment style. They behave the different way, but they're also scared of abandonment, and the only way they're majorly avoidant is because they physically make it known that they're avoidant. All right, so the way I see that is your psychic abilities are trying to let you know, especially your heart chakra is really crackling opening right now. And I feel like why this makes a lot of difference is because you're able to see the ways you were operating in the ways you couldn't see before. So now you're also having this dance between, sometimes maybe you run away, sometimes maybe you chase people, because there's this discomfort coming in from your transformation. And whereas I see that the death is in reverse with the balance, I feel like this is an emerging transformation. I don't see this as something where it's lethally as a pause, but I feel like this is a lot about the fact that sometimes you try to resist this change because you want to go back to the person you've been, because it's comforting, right? We have to agree, even if ways are not right for us, it's just easier to be however we are and how we've been for the longest time in our lives. So this could definitely talk to a parental figure that was avoidant attachment style, and this created a gap between you developing intimacy with them, and that is the basis of your relationship with other people as well. So I see that with the death in reverse scorpionic energy ruled by Pluto, it's a lot about extremities, and you don't like going to extremities, so you try to maintain this balance between, okay, if you try to come close to me, I'll run away. But if you run away from me, then I'll try to come close. There's this push and pull in your relationships. And this reading, I kept it in mind, is keeping it in correlation with romantic relationships, because that is kind of, you have to agree, that is the way that, for example, like our friends don't see the way that our trauma comes out when we're in romantic relationships, and the way our romantic partners see that, right? Because the moment you fall in love, or you have that feeling of love, that sort of a bodily feeling or sensory emotion starts coming out alive. The way that you feel with your parents, or the relationship that you developed through your parents, right? So because they're the first definition of love for us, right? So I feel like the more that you kind of choose these people, it's because out of your comfort zone. And why I said that you're addicted to that pain in a way is because you relate yourself with that personality. Now that might not be 100% true, but to a degree you choose that comfort, and that's why it's said that whatever you're not changing, you're choosing in a way. And I completely understand, pile number 2, that this might be really difficult when you've majorly been like that your whole life, right? But what I see over here with the Eight of Wands and the dreams, it's almost like you are quite prophetic, or you're just very insightful about these things. And I feel like one of the things that majorly, quote unquote, sort of mess up your mind is your anxiety. Now, anxiety comes up in two ways, right? Either we go completely numb or we start panicking. So it could be either ways, but the way I see that, sometimes you kind of numb out and you don't understand what to do. So you just push away the other person and you start assuming things. It's almost like your mind starts playing games on you and you don't understand what's actually happening in the moment. So I feel like even when somebody is not exactly doing the wrong thing, whether it could be a friend, it could be a relative, it could be another potential romantic suitor, I feel like this pile has a connotation of going back to their exes. Now, um this could be a little hurtful for you to hear, because you feel like you've already invested so much in that person and you kind of want to get the benefits of what work you've put into that relationship, or you just want to make it work. Now this could have been picked up from a maternal figure who did not sort of like fight for her rights in a relationship. Your mother could have been quite submissive, so it makes you a little bit prone to settling for less. And I feel like your dreams indicate all that to you, or the I feel like your cognitive, I am hearing clairvoyance, is very strong. And with the Eight of Wands, this is heavy communication and sort of insights and indication. Even though that you're understanding this journey right now, I feel like you're not taking as much action as you would like to, and that's completely okay. But you have to start thinking about these things to understand your own psyche and why you do the things you do, because there's this energy of coping mechanisms. The moment that you meet somebody that is more secure within themselves, who is capable of providing you a healthy, loving relationship, it's like it doesn't fit right, you know. It's like, um Spirit really wants to me to give this example, so take it with a grain of salt. So there's this sort of like, you know how you see in movies when sort of like people are treated well by a person and they don't like that because they've experienced a lot of disrespectful, emotionally volatile and physically abusive relationships. They can't digest the respect that the new person is giving them, and because it feels, it just doesn't feel like it's full with sparks and excitement in that, you know, quote unquote word for toxicity. So they go back to their exes because they are used to that treatment, and that is what love means for them. So that doesn't have to be exactly you to that extremity, but it just means that, um the reason why you keep going back to these people is because it feels like comforting to you. It feels like this is where I belong, or this is what I feel like is so attractive, and it's so, um I just want this behavior. So it's almost like you have to grow out of that, because the reason why you crave it is because it's inside you. And I'm not saying that you purposely want to be treated like that, but it's just your nervous system that gets excited, you know, butterflies in a way, when it sees that sort of repetitive pattern that you have learned since your childhood. And that's precisely why I said that you might be a little bit addicted to that pain, pile number two. So before we conclude this reading, I am going to pull out a few advice cards for you. Pile number two. We have Harmony, Epiphany. We saw this card before as well. And Influence. Wow, a powerful card over here. We have Support and Combustion. So I feel like the first indication that I get with Combustion is almost like maybe you have this energy of passive aggression within you, and you try to hide that. But sometimes when your parents poke the right buttons, or people from your past that you've grown up with, that sort of mask falls off, because they have the triggering points within themselves, because they know how to push your buttons. And it's a lot about releasing that passive aggression in a healthier manner. Now, one way which I personally have coped up with a lot of pent up emotions from my childhood, um, were precisely by running. Now, when I run, it's almost like I feel like I can take out my anger, especially when I'm angry, because personally, when I was a little younger, I didn't realize, but I used to take out misdirected anger. Like the anger that I wanted to take out on my adults, the people in my life that were older to me, I couldn't feel like that because I felt like they're almost right whenever they're right, and I can't say anything to them. Even when that anger used to tell me that they're disrespecting me or they're making me feel some kind of way that I don't like. And I used to take that out on people that were my age, specifically my friends when I was really young. So, like my friends used to say that you need anger management classes and everything like that. And I used to be like, no, I don't. But this used to be an out of body experience when a moment, when they would just push a button of me and I would just burst out and I wouldn't know why I did something that I did. So, now by the way I cope up with these emotions is by running. It's like channeling that energy in a better way, right? And you might also have that aggression within you where you don't realize where it's coming from, but it's coming from a place of the past that you've experienced, where you felt wronged by the people that are close to you and they didn't understand that they're doing wrong to you or asserting their power onto you in a wrong manner, right? So this is a lot about you understanding how things influence you and where they come out, because it's not right for you to, it wasn't right for me, it wasn't right in my own discernment that I take out misdirected anger on people who haven't done wrong to me, right? It's just another way that I learned abuse of my power, right? So for you to repair this pattern within yourself, where it might not be just about anger, it might be about heart pain, it might be about blaming other people for the pain that you have right now, okay? It's about accepting things happen the way they did, but now it's time that I take charge and accountability for the pain that I have within me. You're an adult today. I firmly believe that you're above 18, right? And the moment that you turn an adult, you can't blame your parents for being the way they have been, there are unfair things that happen to everyone in this life, and that is the tragedy of life. But you have to grow out of it. You have to take accountability for the pain that you're carrying, and maybe that you're addicted to that pain right now. All right, pile number two. So this is a lot about spirit coming through and letting you know, find harmony within, find time to understand yourself, because you need to understand yourself. Certain times I think you make impulsive decisions that are based on what you've experienced. That's why we have influence, and they're not completely right for you because they put you back in that sort of haphazard situation that makes you feel like it's comfort, but it's not. And you realize that, why did I do that, right? It's about repairing your emotional body so that it doesn't crave that amount of toxicity, okay? So pile number two, this brings us to the end of your reading. I really, really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated, and I'm going to see you guys in another one. Bye. Hello, pile number three. If you chose this tree, Agate, this is going to be your reading. So the channel message that we have is, I'm sorry for my behavior. I have received a taste of my own medicine. I feel like this is a lot about the injustice that you've been through in your childhood that makes you, I wouldn't say exactly revengeful, but it's the way that you express your passive aggression. Now I think that pile number three, you are admits a lot of painful healing, and the way that you're having this duality within you is one of being a light being and one of being, or sort of like conquering your shadows. And now I feel like more than ever your shadow side is making itself visible in front of you and other people as well. So I would say in a way that your mask is falling off, the one that you didn't even see that existed within yourself. And I feel like certain times you pour out things that you didn't exactly mean, or they were coming from a past experience that was triggered by a similar experience experienced in the presence, okay? So something that happened in the past, an event that happened in the past, was sort of like mimicked in the present, and it looked unsafe to you. And the pressure that was felt was all the bottled up emotions that came from the past and in the present moment, which triggered it. So it's like a double blast of things that come out. And I feel like right now you're really trying to tame the inner demons and the lion within you, because I feel like this is somewhere where it's very positive for you. It's a phase of trial and error. I feel like you're somebody that is quite strong willed, but there's also this energy of your shadow getting the best of you. We're gonna get a few tarot cards for you. Angel guide spirits, please help me connect with pile number three's energy. I'm getting the image of a girl who is startled by the relationship shared between their parents. Now, you could have witnessed a lot of domestic violence in your childhood. Take the example with a grain of salt, just as an inference to understand the situation better, whatever spirit is interpreting to us. So, you could have been someone who has seen the abuse of power in this world. As a very young child, you were really scared of toxic masculinity in a way. And this could also be reversed, where maybe the mother figure abused the father figure, okay? It could be n number of things. But for example, in a layout, I feel like you could have been quite scared. So they're showing me this girl who is scared, who is anticipating the next possible physical fight that goes on, and this is like beating up each other with things, and your mother is trying to protect herself, or the mother figure in a way is trying to protect herself. And this built in a lot of helplessness within you, because not only it impacted you a lot to witness that, but it also gave you this place of hopelessness, helplessness, where I couldn't help my mother and I couldn't help myself either. You could have gotten caught in the fire in between in a way. So they're showing me this girl who's sitting with her teddy bear, and she's scrunching the teddy bear because she's so scared of the voices that she's hearing of clashing and banging, and she's scared. And this has developed a lot of aggression within her, because as a teenager, as an adult, she's still processing what she's witnessed, and it has severely traumatized the way she looks at relationships in a way, right? She feels like giving into relationship is almost like allowing somebody to do whatever they want to do with you. So this kind of feels like it could have tainted your perception towards love, is what I'm feeling, pile number three. So I'm going to change the deck. I feel guided to change the deck. We're going to be using the Psychic Tarot of Heart for your reading. So what do we have here? Pile number three. Share the love. Three of Cups. Taking this in reverse. Believe and succeed. Six of Wands in reverse. Darkest fear. Nine of Wands, I think. Possibly. We have seek and rest and reconsider. So I think these experiences, now they don't have to be exactly what I described, or they could be, but these experiences have really shaped the way you see love and enjoying the ability of love, because it's kind of tainted your perception towards the purity of love because of what you've witnessed, or you could have been through it as well. Okay, my heart goes out to you, pile number three, because this seems like something that is heavily fixated on domestic violence or physical abuse that you've been through. Now, if not that, it's a lot about manipulation and mental games. So I feel like whatever these experiences were, they kind of entrapped you from your own spirituality and creative expression, because for the longest time in your life, perhaps, that you were dealing with these emotions, they were based on the person that you had become, because as a product of your trauma, not as the person that you wanted to be or were meant to be in a way. And now I feel like why it's so painful, we have the darkest fears that I said, why I said in the beginning that you're amidst a very potent healing phase, is because these wounds don't want to be suppressed anymore. They refuse to let you sort of like be hindered by them, and that's the divine plan is what I'm picking up. And with the Three of Cups and the Six of Wands in reverse, this is about that inflated ego that sometimes you really self-depreciate. I think that this pile resonates with pile number one, but something about this makes me feel like you tend to push away people, or you try to run towards them as well. But for this pile, I feel like you push away people because you're scared of what they can do in your vulnerable spots. Oh wow, we have a 3, 6 and 9. So this is a number that I'm aware of, which is heavily used when you're balancing yourself. It's a very, very important, and I would say it's kind of like a stardom balancing number that comes along as an angel number. 369, it's something that's quite rare, but when you're seeing it, it's almost like you're really balancing yourself out, mind, body and spirit. Number 3, because we have the denominator of 3 common over here, I see that as you balancing out your mind, body and spirit. So now this is coming in alignment with the person that you're ripping off layers as the personality that was completely based upon trauma response, and the person that is true authentic self. So I feel like as much as you're growing out of this place, there's a lot of things that used to pollute your mind and the way you used to perceive the world because of the way you saw yourself. Now, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if you're facing through a lot of body image issues, because the physical abuse that you've been through or experienced could have closed you off to your own sexuality, and the open expression of yoni is what I'm hearing. That's another word for vagina. But I feel like it doesn't have to be that you're a feminine or a woman per se, just if you chose this reading. You could also be a man, gender non-specific, but it's a lot about your own internal feminine self-expression, right? We both have masculine and feminine within us, and I feel like this is a lot about the way that your femininity comes out. You could have been someone who has practiced toxic masculinity. Now, you could have had misdirected anger. You could have also manipulated people. And it is because the way you saw how to stomp on people is to remain on the top, or how to stay okay in this life and survive is by doing the same things. So because of the things that you witnessed, you kind of became that person as well for a long time. And that doesn't have to be to the extremity that I'm describing, but certain traits we do pick up when you come from such a difficult background, right? When we don't have a loving atmosphere around us, right? So pile number 3, take these readings with a grain of salt, but try to understand the deeper message that's coming through, which I feel is a lot about your inflated ego that tells you that you're not worthy of love, you're not good looking enough, that person is not gonna want to be with you, or I have to chase love because love runs away from me, love is difficult to attain. So it's almost like all those fears that are coming up right now, it's like a word vomit. They're just coming up and they're just making themselves known, and probably you're crying a lot, you're feeling so much, your heart aches when you go to sleep. It's like you're just counting upon God or the divine to just heal you, and they're giving you strength. They're definitely giving you strength to heal through this pain right now. So I'm gonna get a few more cards to define this energy. You have the 7 of Wands. Oh, 6 of Wands upright. That's gorgeous. We have the Hermit. Wow. So we have Virgo energy, we have 5 of Swords and 9 of Wands yet again. So we have a lot of resilience within you. I see that pile number 3, that you are resilient over here. And with the 7 of Wands over here is what I see, that you did have loose boundaries in the past perhaps, and what you're developing right now is a healthier sense of boundaries with yourself. Now, I personally believe is that you put boundaries on yourself and you put defenses on other people, because when you put boundaries for yourself, you kind of limit every person out of your own personal sphere, and that's very different from intimacy. But personal boundary, self-respect, your integrity are things that you decide for yourself, and you don't base them upon what other people are doing, right? It's not a hard mentality when it comes to boundaries. There are things that we accept from other people, and there are things that we don't accept from other people and ourselves as well. So I feel like the more that these defenses are breaking down when it comes to love, now this could be pertaining to a romantic connection. We're not going to focus upon that. Whoever provoked that within you is enabling you to really break down these walls right now and put boundaries as to where you feel safe in taking this thing forward. Now, this could be that you're committed with someone, or this could be that you're thinking about commitment and you're reevaluating the way that you're going to let other people in. So now this is a lot about understanding that you don't need to run behind any person. You don't need to run behind anyone who doesn't want to go with the pace that is okay with you and them as well, right? It's about consent also. So this is about having a healthier sense of self-esteem, where it's like, you know what, I am not difficult to love. Pile number 3, you're not difficult to love, but you just need more time to gain the trust of another person and for them to gain your trust as well, right? You want that mutual understanding and trust between both people, and this comes from also having discernment in picking the right people who are introspective themselves, who have that emotional capability to cater to your needs, and you have the emotional compatibility to cater to theirs, right? I think that you're opening yourself up to a healthy give and take, and what your inner child is kind of wanting to let you know is that I'm healing. You're doing a good job, bro. You're doing a good job, sis. Like, you're doing really good, and you're healing yourself right now. And this sense of a broken self-image, or the way you perceived yourself, is really healing right now. And I feel like you're creating support system. Maybe you are into therapy, maybe you're doing meditation, maybe you're asking for help from your angel guides, spirits. But I feel like the message that I'm getting is that don't try to find a romantic rescuer for the pain that you have, because you will have an emotional volatile relationship with that person as well. Don't try to be in love with someone just because you're lonely. Okay, so that is one main message that I'm getting, is that if this time is hurting you right now, you and that other person also deserves justice in this area, where you're loving them for who they are, not out of your neediness. You could have done that quite a lot, pile number 3, and it happens to the best of us. But you have to see whether that person is good for you or not. And this is not an evaluation of the people that are there. This is an evaluation of what you're doing. And what your inner child wants to let you know is that it needs time. It needs time so that it doesn't act out of anger. So that at this point, when somebody pokes you, you don't push away people or act out onto them because you're hurting so much, right? I think that you have done that quite a lot. You could have a temperament, you could have anger issues, but they're telling me that you need to take this time for yourself so that you can build yourself back up and not try to fill. It's almost like, I'll give you this a favorite example of mine that I use when I'm going through a difficult healing process. So one of my friends, she just randomly gave me this sort of like an example, and she's like, being in a relationship with someone when you're not feeling like loving yourself is like you being a vanilla cake and there's a slice missing, and you try to put that chocolate cake in your cake and you think that it'll make it perfect. But there's still a chocolate cake over there with vanilla, right? It doesn't make it whole. So you have to take out the time to understand the ingredients for that vanilla cake, to prepare it and then put it together and make it a perfect sphere of cake, right? So this is what I'm precisely trying to tell you, is that taking taking pieces from other people and trying to fulfill your own heart will not at all work, because it's not going to be what you needed. You have the key ingredients. You know how they say that they want my secret sauce, but the secret ingredient is me, right? It's like you're the ingredient and you'll be the master of that recipe. So you have to take out the time to understand yourself, to separate yourself from this trauma aided personality, and the person that who wants to emerge is that true authentic self. So you will take time, and these things take a lot of time, pile number 3. So I hope that you don't give up on yourself through this process. All right, I'm going to take out one advice card to conclude this reading. They're asking me to take the channel deck. This is something that I made for romantic relationships, but it also has inner child healing messages. So we're going to see how I interpret that. I'm wanting to come out of isolation. I worked hard on my healing. So they're saying that this is enough. I'm sorry for the way I treated you in the past. You didn't deserve it. There's so much apologetic behavior, the way that you have maybe let your demons get the best of you, pile number 3. And I want to see the bottom of the deck energy. You are a huge inspiration for my own journey. So I feel like this is about reminding yourself that you have come through a lot, and this energy of you are a huge inspiration. I feel like you also see this light attribute within you, which is resilient. You also, I feel like you're becoming your own best role model because you've changed so much, and I think that maybe you believe that people can change is because of your own ability to change. Now, I see that over here that maybe you are somebody who takes a lot of time to yourself. With the hermit, that wouldn't be a surprise that you enjoy your solitude, but sometimes you want to be in other people's company when you can't face yourself. And this is something that even I struggle with personally. And the moments that I recognize that I'm being desperate to be in somebody's energy is the moment I just sit down and I talk to myself like, why do you want to be with, somebody else? It doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It just means that I want to distract myself from what I'm feeling inside, right? And even it gets so hard, like it takes days for you to figure out what's really hurting inside. It's like you have to make it a priority to sit down with yourself and stay focused on what's hurting inside rather than acting out of it or trying to find distractions towards it. So even though it's okay that you're creating support system, but it's also for you to understand that only you can understand yourself the best. Pile number 3, that's what I've been trying to explain you, that the secret sauce or the ingredient is you will be able to navigate yourself like no other. All right, so, bar number 3, this brings us to the end of your reading. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated, and I'm gonna see you guys in another one. Bye!